Yeah, you know what time it is. It's time for the Geekenders podcast. MegaRan, Jesse and Dodger, what up? Let's go. Yo, it's the weekend. Yeah, it's time to geek out. Let it begin. Go on, stream and shout. It's Jesse and Dodger, so give them a follow and see what the Geekenders are all about. Yo, it's the weekend. Yeah, it's time to geek out. Let it begin. Go on, stream and shout. It's Jesse and Dodger, so give them a follow. #1 geek podcast, without a doubt. Yo, another end of another long week. Got a job and a kid, I know that you all beat. So take a second, grab a drink and vibe while we catch you up in just a matter of time. On gaming, comics, whatever you're doing. If you're nerdy like us, then you know you should tune in. Thank you for sharing our world with us. Now follow, subscribe, and turn this up. Yo, it's the weekend. Yeah, it's time to geek out. Let it begin. Go on, scream and shout. It's Jesse and Dodger, so give them a follow. #1 geek podcast, without a doubt.
Oh, hello everyone. Welcome to Geekenders. Today is a very special day because Dodger's letting me start this one, which you might say, Jesse, what? Why? Well, two things. Two things are happening today. This is one of those shows where we're listening to you, the viewers, finally. And I know, you might say, shouldn't that be every show? Wrong. You're wrong. But many of you have messaged us and said, hey, when are you gonna bring the Grinding Gears guys on? Here's the best part. Literally yesterday, a guy asked while I was on stream. And I was like, tomorrow at 8 a.m. So
you were like, guess what, buddy? Dabs.
Yeah, hope you're having a good time, dude. But joining us today, of course, are Garrett and Kyle from Grinding Gears, one of my favorite podcast / streaming duos. Honestly, probably better prepared than Dodger and I, but I am only saying that to kiss their butt, not because I believe it. But
kiss away.
Yeah, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Glad to be here. We also have been much requested by our audience to go on your show, to which we always reply, that's not how it works.
No, that's not how it works at all.
It really is, actually. Turns out that is exactly how it works. And
flowing.
yeah, but also today we have gotten many requests that people are like, why don't you just make a segment that is news-based for the gaming world or just the nerdy world in general? And to you, I say, fine, we'll do it.
Yeah, okay.
At the end of the show, we'll do a whole thing. Instead of just randomly throwing stuff in, we're going to actually be professional. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I'm prepared, and frankly, I don't know if you are either. So
I was concerned that it would become a slippery slope of structure, you know?
Yeah, I didn't want a lot of structure either. I felt like we were freeballing and the wind was blowing through us and we were just like, oh, and I didn't want you to feel like we were putting you all in boxes. But apparently the box is where you wanted us to put you and us.
Garrett looking around like, I'm in a box right now.
It's
you
literally
wanted
in a box. My life is in a box.
Behold my box.
No, yeah. So we'll do the whole thing. But more importantly, as we welcome the two of you to the show, I'm just going to open this up right now because I feel like we need to get this out of the way. How do you feel about beefs? There's two of you, there's two of us. What's your thought on beefs?
Like beefing with other streamers?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you open to it?
Oh, it's
I've been dying for a beef because I think that's how you take yourself to the next level of internet fame.
That's what I think too.
That's what we've been talking about.
Yeah, we've actually talked about. It's not like we've done a video, but internet beefs has come up multiple times over the course of us streaming together, and we've on more than one occasion have talked about which one of our streamer friends would be the most fun to beef with. And you frequently come up, Jesse, and so does Joe Cat, because we feel like if you get a beef with Joe Cat, you have a chance of getting an animated response.
Yeah,
that's so true. And
that's good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
That has
Also,
such
Joe Cat
far
roasted us
reach.
on our own show, and it was hilarious.
Escalation. It can happen.
Yeah, I've come to appreciate beefs, and I want more beefs. And Dodger, a little hesitant to the beef. Dodger's like, but what if they're better than us? No one's better than us. That's why we have beefs. You got to come with the attitude. You got to come in like, no one's the trash. Trash. We invited you 2v on to call you trash. See?
My argument was that if you go in too hot and the people you're trying to beef with have no idea who you are, then it's rough. It's a rough dynamic to get out of.
Yeah.
You gotta like invite them on a podcast and inform them of the building beef situation first.
Exactly.
Right.
Gotcha.
So welcome to the beef. Thank you guys for joining us.
Okay, excellent.
So excited.
Right. We're changing the name to Beefenders.
Yes.
And this is where it begins. All right.
Beefenders sucks because it sounds like a British podcast where they just talk about like very British topics.
It's like Beef Eaters adjacent.
Yeah. It's Beef Eaters adjacent, but it's just very British. All right, enough stupidity, which I say knowing that will be the rest of the show. Guys, if you could best summarize, I mean, I could explain how I discovered the two of you. I am a Final Fantasy 14 nerd, and you two were streaming Final Fantasy 14 on the old, actually, I don't know if you were streaming at the time, but you were making videos on YouTube, and I watched and was like, oh, some intelligent gents with thoughts. Interesting. I guess I'll watch. And so I did. And then I watched streams. And then I felt awkward because I would show up to every stream and just be like, look at him play this game. And I was like, oh no, have I become a creep? But then I embraced the creepery and I'm feeling pretty good about it. But in your own words, how did we get to this point where like your entire lives, when you were children, how do we get from that point to here? And you being on the show today,
that's easy. Getting bullied for liking video games, and then thinking it'd be real funny if I paid for my house by playing video games. That was really just a
true comedy.
Just a complete lack of giving up and wanting to own my school bullies. That's really the short of it.
I mean, what you said was beautiful, Jesse. Like, there's nothing more pure than the distant friendship where you see somebody and go, I want to be friends with that person, and you work towards that goal. I love it.
I like how you took my creepy
artists.
stalking.
Yeah, I love to stalk artists on social media and be like, wouldn't it be so crazy if we were friends? And then if I manage to have an interaction with them, I'm like, I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
Friendship is forged in these moments.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But you didn't start with WoW. You started elsewhere and slowly migrated, and you've been doing this for a while. I guess that's what I'm getting at. What is the origin story of the Grinding Gears?
My motivation started with WoW, though. I so badly wanted to be a WoW content creator, but I was looking in on it and being like, this is so saturated. This would be such a dumb idea to try and step into this. But I was really interested in content creation, and this is like I'm old enough that we're talking pre-streaming days. Streaming was not a thing. I was in college. In art class, I went to an art school, so every day for hours on end, I was just like sitting there drawing naked people, and I wanted something in my ears, and I discovered podcasts, like real, like actually downloading them to an iPod because we didn't have internet streaming capable devices yet. So I'd load up my iPod with World of Warcraft podcasts, and I'd sit there and listen to WoW stuff when I couldn't be playing WoW because I had to be drawing naked people.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, it's a hard life, dude.
Yeah. It was like the first year, it was like nothing but old dudes, so I wasn't really loving it. You know, it wasn't great. I remember I
would have made those guys look amazing. Like, I know in art you want to like capture the realism or whatever, but I would have done the best abstract of like ripped old dudes. They would have been like, do you have a fetish? By the time I was done, I would have just been doing it.
Enhanced reality.
Yeah, those old guys would have been like, could I have that? Could I have a copy of that? And be like, take it, my man. Frame it.
Yeah, so that happened, and then Kyle and me are the same age, did not go to the same school or even know each other, but he lived with like a childhood friend of mine in college, which is how we got to know, like kind of got connected. He fell asleep on my floor at a house party one time. Sure. Yeah, and then we graduated in 2009, which, as we all know, was the best time to graduate and try and find employment. America was just, we were killing it.
Doing really well, yeah.
And by killing it, I mean the economy.
The
we
economy.
absolutely murdered the economy. It was dead. And suddenly I had, $80,000 of like student debt, and I was making $8 an hour working on Pico Boulevard because I thought moving to the most expensive state in the union was a smart idea. Yeah. And I was bored, and I was still talking to this lovely gentleman because we like played a couple things in WoW together, I think. And we were also part of a Skype think tank for out of work creatives, just trying to come up with anything that we could do that would be fun and maybe make it buck. And one day we showed back up to that Skype group, and we were the only 2 people left. No one else kept showing up.
But then Garrett got a StarCraft beta key.
Yes. The manager at the pet store that I worked at on Pico Boulevard, shout out to Pet Depot in Los Angeles, was I don't know if anyway, I think they were dating somebody who worked at Activision. And she came in one day and was like, Garrett, you like Blizzard games? You want a StarCraft 2 beta key? I was like, hell yeah, I do. That sounds great. and I got one. And then it gave me an invite a friend code. And I call up this chucklehead because we've been trying to find something creative to do together. And I was like, hey, man, I know you love StarCraft. I got a StarCraft 2 beta key, but it comes with a catch. I will send it to you, but we got to start a StarCraft 2 podcast. And
that's
Kyle
very
said yes.
wholesome.
Yeah. Yeah, and so we started like I think the 10th best StarCraft podcast. Got absolutely destroyed by anything JP did, or Day 9 did, or Tasteless did, or anybody with talent did.
It was a hard market around that time. Yeah.
Yeah, we got absolutely destroyed, but we learned a lot. And I think in 3 months we went from like the downloads on our first episode was me, Kyle, and my mom. We had 3 downloads, and by the time it came out of beta, we were doing 2,000 downloads a week, and we thought that was really cool. So
that is really cool.
Yeah, and then I don't know, we've started and restarted and left games and joined new games many times since. And I ended up going on to do a bunch of different World of Warcraft content with various friends around the internet space. And then I got really burnt out on World of Warcraft. And this guy, we were doing Heroes of the Storm con together. Kyle was like, you should try Final Fantasy 14. And I was like, I don't know, man. The game looks kind of lame. And I'm not really moved to play a game just because it looks kind of anime. I like anime, but it's not like a style and video game that makes me want to pick the game up.
Yeah.
I'm very Blizzard brained like that. I like my games to look like they could be airbrushed on the side of a van. That's the art style I tend to gravitate toward. So we also wanted to try something that was more YouTube focused. So we started making videos about like one gaming news topic a week. We changed the name twice while doing it. At one point it was called Nexus Gaming News because we had a show called Into the Nexus and wanted to keep Nexus around. It didn't matter. It didn't last that long. And one week we did a video on the trend of everyone leaving World of Warcraft to go play Final Fantasy 14. And I famously in the video said, I am sure as shit never going to play this game, and it is now on the internet, living forever. And like a month later, Kyle finally got through to me. I was like, all right, I'll give it another shot, because I had tried it like a year earlier, and I was like, it's fine. I've tab targeted before. It's not set my world on fire. But I was looking for a chill game, at least on a narrative aspect at that point. So it got its hooks in me, and I was like, okay, all right. I'm kind of getting into this. And we started making videos, and they started doing well. And people were like, you should stream this together. And we're like, you can't do that. That's against the law. You can't stream a game with 2 people. And here we are. We stream now 4 days a week together, co-op. 2 of those days every week is Final Fantasy 14. We do other MMOs on Wednesdays, and we podcast on Monday. And that's how we got to where we're at. Kyle, did I miss anything?
No, that was a good summary, man. I was there. I wasn't actually there, but I was sent to that time. I experienced it all again.
If it makes y'all feel any better, so many interactions between Jesse and I was me going, still playing Final Fantasy 14. It's really fun, Jesse. And Jesse being like, I've tried it, dude. It's not for me. It's boring. It's not grabbing me whatsoever. And this was like years of occasionally being like, you should really try Final Fantasy, dude. 14 is popping off. The story's really good. And he was like, it's not for me, dude. I'm not going to enjoy it. And I don't remember at what point the switch flipped. But Jesse knows so much more about 14 than I do now. He's just gone so hard.
That's because we've had Jesse on our show a bunch of times, and I don't think we've ever talked about your hesitation to play the game, Jesse. Because to me, like from talking to you on our corner of the internet, I've always gotten the vibe that you're like a massive Final Fantasy fan, and you've played all of the other games, and so I just assumed 14 was like a cornucopia for you because it's its own good story, but there's also tons of tie-ins and references to every other Final Fantasy.
It's a weird vibe because Final Fantasy for the majority of my existence has been before I did all of this. I don't remember what year it actually came out, but Final Fantasy 13 came out when kind of this whole thing started, the internet streaming, YouTubing as a whole started. So that was sort of the baseline for this version of me. But before that, I played every single one. Right? Like all the even Final Fantasy 11 I played, and then I moved on to WoW. So I was playing Final Fantasy 11 before WoW was my first YouTube content. So Final Fantasy 11 and 12 were like before YouTube was a thing for me. And so 13 hit. I do not like 13. And then they decided to triple down on. They were like, let's make a 13.2 and a 13.3. And I was like, I hate you. Why? And that just broke me. And so I was never really doing Final Fantasy content early on. It wasn't a thing. Like I would talk about Final Fantasy 6. I was like, I love Final Fantasy 6. It's a great game, but I would never do Final Fantasy content. And then Final Fantasy 14 came out and I played it on launch and was like, this game sucks all the balls. So
when you say on launch, you mean 1.0?
Oh yeah. And then I played it for 2.0 as well and was like, nah, this is boring. I played it and got to level 40. And I know you guys have been through that. Even Dodger, everyone who's played it has played that weird. Like you start to get to Kurthus and it's kind of like, I'm just walking around. It's a slog. And so I just stopped. I stopped at level 40 and 10 years later, I don't know how many, 2020 rolled around. It took a literal pandemic and for WoW to disappoint me so much that I stopped playing that and was like, I mean, I guess I could give it a try. I have a level 40 character. So I just loaded up my level 40 character and kept going, and somehow here we are. Look, I don't know how to explain the magic. I don't know what happened, but here we are. Honestly, to be real, I think it's because I started playing again the week 5.3 dropped, I think. And with that patch, they put in flying in the old A Realm Reborn zones. And now that I had flying, I could zip around and finish A Realm Reborn very quickly, and it changed how I felt about it rather than like, oh, I gotta get there, this is some bullshit, right? I actually could do things quickly and it caught me up faster. And suddenly I was like, oh yeah, no, this actually is kind of cool. And yeah, I honestly, if they didn't have that, it would probably be a different story. Because that's what made me feel like I was progressing faster than I initially was. Also, again, it was the height of COVID. So I was like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not doing anything. The world's falling apart. My video game I've been playing for 15 years. Did a story about this guy. I don't even know that dude. Why do I care? Life is terrible. Yeah. And so it was a perfect storm. And suddenly here we are.
I never thought about doing Realm Reborn without flying, and that does sound like it would physically pain me.
I don't even know when that came online.
Did you guys struggle at the beginning of the game at all, or did you sort of like fall into it easily? Yeah.
I mean, I fell asleep in Sestasha and woke up to 3 commendations. So like the community was there, the vibe was there, and it was just
he tried.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm healing, and he's just a little still in the back, and no big deal. We were fine. But like that was just kind of like this book. I had like this book comfort with it, and it didn't really matter how far I got into it. I love just opening like Warhammer Wikipedia at night and just being like, oh, that's cozy. He did what now with the plague? Oh my God, that's amazing. And just passes me out. So it was just cozy. It was just comfortable.
Yeah, I'm not a MMO person really. So I didn't go into 14 with like a base of expectations necessarily. I had played vanilla WoW and then dropped it because I wasn't going to any of my classes. I was like, I got to do something about this. And 14 is like the first MMO that I've like actually picked up since then. So I think even though I started playing before there was flying and everything, because it was before the first expansion dropped, I didn't have like, I don't remember feeling like, man, this is going so slow. I was just like, oh, this is really fun. But I honestly think part of that is because there wasn't a pacing comparison for me with another MMO really in recent memory, you know?
But it's also like free trial business, so like your investment and so low, like why not just pick it up here and there, and eventually you kind of crest that hill and go, well, yeah, I guess I care about these people. But I also like didn't stream any of my early stuff, which is wonderful. Like the Ul'dah theme is mine. I hear it and I go, oh, that's all me. No one told me to like that. It's just, let me wander around and work on my jewelry.
Right.
That's Limsa for me. Yeah, and I have because we're slowly working our way through Dawn Trail because we make like videos kind of as we go, and we don't want to make a video and then continue playing because there's a group of folks in our community that love when we try and predict what happens next, and we don't want to inform those thoughts. And so I haven't been to Limsa in like a month, and we went to Limsa this past week to do the Rising event in game, and I was just like, oh my god, I am nostalgic for this music, for this exactly what you said, Kyle. I'm like, no one told me to like this music. I like it on my own accord.
Yeah,
that's how I feel about the Gridania theme, because it just sounds like the Hobbit theme after a while, and I'm like, yeah, Hobbits are cool. And I know it has no bearing on the game. I'm just like, yeah, I do remember this sounding like something that I liked before.
I like them establishing that the Rising event, or at least implying that the Rising event is now going to take place in different cities each time. Because it's always been in Ul'dah before now, hasn't it?
They got to get away from that stage in Gridania. That's like everything. Everything goes down at that damn stage. I incite the Gridania lovers all the time because I'm just like, this is my least favorite city in that place. I'm like, this forest needs some verticality. It's flatter than Florida. What are we doing?
It's not an exciting town.
No, not even remotely. It's although a lot of people like it because that's where a lot of the what's the nice dirtier things go down there, dude. There's some dirt going down in there. You know, my perverts know. So
I do think it's the simplest town to start in. It's like the clearest town of like where things are, I think.
Oh yeah. I agree. Yeah, because the loading between going up and down in Limsa was really confusing for me the first time I was there, and then like the hub and spoke design of Ul'dah, again, because there's loading walls, it actually kind of screws with your brain more. You would think a circular theme city would be kind of easy to wrap your brain around because that's really common in MMOs. But
yeah, the number of times that I'm standing on top of a marker and I'm like, all right, is it above me? Is it below me? Can I jump down? No, there's an invisible wall. It's fine. I'll find it. It's okay.
There's it's weird because they made a circle town, but it's not a circle. It's like 1/4 of a circle, and then half of an inner circle, and then an upper level of that circle. It's an incredibly weird way to do it, but that's what they did. And so, you know, I guess they tried to make it easier, but a circle at least you could go, this is like, no, you hit a wall, and you got to go back, and you can go in and go, but then like, no, you got to go this. It's insane. Ul'dah's an insane town. Terrible start.
Someone stole one piece of my pizza. That's Ul'dah. That's how they designed Ul'dah.
Cities are fun to design. You know, if you've ever dungeon mastered, oh, it's so easy. And then you play something like Frostpunk, and you're like, this is bullshit.
Do you guys play a lot of D&D? Are you TTRPGers?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I enjoy that stuff. I think it's why I really connected with the Final Fantasy kind of writing team and what they're up to, because they're hyper aware of their characters. Like you can practically picture Thancred on a boat out at sea, and they're like, no, we can't use him. He's busy right now. He's walking somewhere. Alphino, however, he's been reading a book over here for a while. You can still find him over there. And they just lay it out in a way that just makes sense. And then you get into like the tropey campiness of like the Sailor Moon vibes, and you can apply all your sort of media knowledge straight to it to kind of predict, and you're constantly being rewarded for this prediction loop you get in with the creators.
Let me ask
so
really quick
true.
then. First off, before I ask this, Dodger,
Yes.
where are you currently at in Dawn Trail?
Same spot.
What spot is that? Reminder for me?
We've done we're doing the second, I'm trying not to say trial again because that got too confusing. We're trying to make second challenge for Wukong.
Oh, so you're still really early. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
I play it really slowly with my cousin. She and I have played every expansion together, so I don't play it without her. And unfortunately, I mean, that sounds shitty. Both of us have kids. I was about to say, unfortunately, we both have kids. They're fortunate. They're beautiful. We love them very much, but they do make it so that
I have
You
3
said
kids.
what I meant.
I am aware of like the tiptoeing you do in our generation to like communicate. I can't. I have kids now. And people are like, oh, so they're a bird. And you're like, no, I didn't say this.
No,
I didn't say this.
They do get in the way of me behaving like I would with no child. Absolutely. Yes, 100%.
Space Marine 2 can't be on the TV when they're in the room. It's hard sometimes.
No, you
know?
change. You just flip the script. You say, unfortunately, I am a present parent. That's what you say. Unfortunately,
Ooh,
I am
I like
a good
that.
parent.
Well, yeah, that's a little
That's how
accusatory.
you flip it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but listen, I am childless, and I also live in Florida, which means I go to Disney a lot. And as a childless person at Disney, you are aware of everyone with children, and there's a lot of not present parents. Let me tell you. So
I think our beef has layers. We can really put Garrett versus Jesse, and I
like it,
versus
yeah.
Dodger here, and like we'll really kind of really make sure this thing has some depth.
We're developing some depth. Yeah, I like it.
We're gonna start parent beef and then non-parent beef. Is that what we're doing?
Right. Oh,
Well, that's just one
and
of the
then
layers. That's just one of the layers.
Yeah, and then we can switch it up. Like people will. That's like season 2. Like, oh my God, Garrett, you and I join forces.
Oh, well, that's the
children
great part.
Trash. Yeah.
That's the only thing better than a beef is squashing a beef. Like that's the beef arc.
Right. Right.
You have to do it at the right time, though. People have to feel like they earned it,
You got
Yeah. I mean, everyone likes Final Fantasy 14 because it essentially is eventually a giant beef gets squashed, and that's when everyone's like, "This is the greatest thing I've ever seen."
Question. Oh my God. Have we cracked the code? Do you think the reason why people have problems with Dawn Trail is because all beefs are squashed instantly?
I mean, it's definitely one of my issues with Dawn Trail.
Do you think that have you cracked it? Where it's like we have all these beefs and the beefs last for years and years and years, then they get squashed. But right now, dude, all beefs are squashed instantly, and we're not earning the squash. We are here for beef, not squash. This is not a vegetarian video game. I feel like you've cracked it.
I think we should steal the structure, the patch structure. We come out with expansions of beef, and there's a full story arc. We complete that section. And then we do about 5 smaller chapters in there, really build up to whatever that beef number 2 is.
Because, I mean, yes.
As long as at some point I can hit Dodger with a chair,
Ooh.
right? Like I could.
Right.
That's
Yes.
if it's wrestling themed. Are we still
Right.
talking Dawn Trail?
We
Now we're
will
talking real
develop
life.
to that point for sure.
Oh, you thought it meant fake? Oh no! I just wanted to hit Dodger with a chair. Is that?
I mean, I don't know why we're thinking about wrestling when the best chair hit is in The Mummy with Brendan Fraser from across the room.
True.
Can we just recreate that?
As long as we can
How
also
hard
recreate
would that be?
As long as we can also recreate the scene where they're on 2 sides of the river, so you can just be like, Benny. We can do a whole bit like, oh God,
Yes.
we can have,
Yes,
like that would be
good, good.
amazing.
And then somebody
Look at
vomits flies. It's perfect. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
I love it.
It all works out.
Dodger can come up and be like, he thanks you for your eyes and your tongue. And I just be in the background like, please no.
Instead of pocket sand, it's mouth flies.
Classic.
Oh my God.
That's great.
I love
That'd
that.
be good. I love that.
That's how we do it.
Yeah.
The number of times that Jesse and I devolve a bit into, wouldn't it be cool if we recreated perfectly this scene from this show or movie? Wouldn't it be amazing if we rewrote all of the lyrics to the Phantom of the Opera just to really drive the bit home?
Listen, cosplay's a thing. Why can't scene play be a thing?
Right?
Like, what is the peak of fandom other than complete recreation?
Like singing songs to your cat. Same energy.
Did you guys when that
I'm not sure I connect those threads, Kyle.
You don't sing songs about your little cat.
No,
Yes,
I
100%.
mostly just verbally berate my cat. Like the most common thing I say to my cat is, "You are an asshole."
Kyle, I'm with
songs?
you.
Okay,
100%.
good. This is another
Wow,
beef here.
we're already switching? Oh my God, the beefs are already squashed. This is...
Again, you guys need, Jesse, Garrett need to find that Megatron Optimus like level where it's like, I'll only work with you for so long.
Did you guys
I'm
when the new Katy Perry song came out? I almost said Kyle Perry. You're welcome. When the new Katy Perry song came, you can be Katy Perry when we recreate the song. It'll be fine.
What?
Perfect.
What? I'm so... Wait, what is...
The new
I
Katy
don't even
Perry
know
song,
this.
when it came out, it's like sexy, confident, so intelligent, right? And a bunch of people were goofing on it because it's literally just like descriptor words, but it sounds like a song that you would sing to your cat. So a bunch of people kept like picking up their cats and being like, sexy, confident. So anyways, when we eventually developed this bit to the point where we're recreating the Katy Perry music video, Kyle can be Katy Perry and hold
it
a
doesn't
cat.
pop.
Why did Katy Perry get so much crap for that? I mean, that happens all the time in hip hop, and it happens all the time in country music.
It's not crap though. It's joy that she made what is equivalent of a cat song. You know, like
Time out.
She made a cat
Time
song.
out.
Yes.
Time out.
Yes.
There was a full backstory associated with Dodger's little, like, Katy Perry. And all I know about Katy Perry is people were like, yeah, she worked with like some not good people on this last song. And I was like, what are you trying to say
That is
about Kyle and Garrett? And you're like, you can sing it to your cat. There was a through line that you did not express
We're gonna fix the song is what's gonna happen here
at all.
by adding a cat and removing Katy Perry.
you don't think about it too much, you know? When you're singing Les Mis at your cat, it's not about Les Mis anymore. It's about his paws out in the darkness and, you're javering him.
Dude,
Right.
have you seen, oh my gosh, have you seen the person who did the like big like combination ballad from Les Mis, but replaced all of the words with the words to Hot to Go?
What?
My For You page is a mess.
Oh my goodness.
What is
That sounds joyous.
I'm gonna send it to you guys. Not now, but I'm gonna send it to you.
the only
It's
hot
worth
to
it.
go that the world needs is HOTDOGS.
It's that.
Hot dogs are the fucking best. That's what we need.
That's also
it.
good.
Yeah. Hot dogs.
I'm a fan.
Hot dogs.
I'm into it.
So there's the part in A Realm Reborn where the guy's punching the rocks, and that's where it
Right.
really came together.
Yes.
Actually, there's a part in A Realm Reborn where a bunch of Lalafels beat up an old man, and he becomes stronger because they beat him up, and that's where it really comes together. And if you've never played the Monk Quest, you're missing out on life.
What's the name what's the name of the
best quest.
the Lalafell? No, she's not a Lalafell. The leader of the Gridania area.
Wait, she is a Lalafell.
Is she a Lalafell?
No, Gridania? No, that's you're thinking
Oh,
of Gridania.
Gridania, excuse me.
No, Kani-sana with the unicorn necklace. Upside down unicorn necklace.
Yes.
The cow necklace, you mean?
You see a cow?
It's got a
there's a
horn.
cow.
It's got a horn. It's an upside down unicorn.
It's an upside down cow. And it's got the big cow nose.
Yeah, but it has a single
She's a
horn in
Pajali.
dead center.
There we go.
Anyway, she's a child of the forest, is what you were.
She's a child of the forest. I should know what they're called because you exclusively hang out with them for the White Mage quests. But every single time I see her in a scene, I can't stop thinking about how her hair makes no sense, and I have no idea how I would create that hair. So
I can't stop thinking about how she just like walks into a scene and it's just like, I'm here to bore everyone.
Thank
Now
you.
you are all bored.
she does.
It's like, oh
she
my
doesn't
God.
have that Merlwib energy, dude. she's
No one
really
does,
lacking.
and that's why Merlwib is the best.
Yeah.
Facts.
Merwin rolls up with a gun, and like Michael Scott just makes every scene more interesting.
She's great.
Yeah,
I love her.
So much better.
Really quickly, because I feel like I haven't, and I know Dodger hasn't. Have you guys played any of the WoW expansion that's come out so far?
Yes,
A little bit.
What are your
yeah.
vibes? I'm trying to get a collective
ton.
vibe check on people.
Not a ton. We've almost completed the first zone of the expansion. I don't think we've announced it yet, but we are planning to slowly get all the way through the story. We want to have that experience. But yeah,
essentially what Dodger was saying about getting through Final Fantasy, that's our stream. Like we have to always be together. So things move at a parental pace at times.
Slow pace, yeah. But sorry, your question was just what do we think of it so far?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to like. Part of me kind of wants to check it out. Everyone I've talked to has been like, dude, slaps, you got to play that thing. It's so good. And I'm like, is it good or is it just like fine or what's the vibe? So I'm trying to.
Yeah, like my 3 to 4 hour review is that I'm really impressed so far. Narratively, like just talking about the narrative, which was the main reason we wanted to go experience it because previously I never gave a crap about narrative in MMOs. It was not a thing. I played World of Warcraft, even though I do like Warcraft lore. 90% of my interest in it was I liked raiding with my friends. I went there I liked tanking. I liked grinding dungeons. I liked getting geared up and going and punching Arthas in the face. That was like my main reason I played it. But then Final Fantasy 14 happened also on the tail end of me actually caring about WoW's lore and being furious at it because I thought Shadowbringers was, or not Shadowlands. Shadowlands was just one of the worst narratives I've ever experienced in games. So I went to 14, was really impressed, and now I'm in prove it territory because I'm like, if you're gonna market your game this much on the narrative of your MMO after I just experienced Shadowbringers into Endwalker, which was like one of the most insane narrative arcs I've ever experienced in a game, I don't want the internet to tell me how to feel about it. I want to make my own damn opinion because I know there's gonna be people in the chat who are like, it sucks, I can't hold a candle to Final Fantasy 14. I'm like, that's fine. I would like to come up with my own opinion. So yeah, based on the narrative alone, I'm super impressed because like you couldn't pay me to feign interest in dwarves. And the whole first like 3 hours is dwarf. And I do care. The voice acting is really good. And they've got this new stay a while and listen mechanic where if you care, it's gonna just, like we usually play World of Warcraft, head down, go, accept, don't read anything, don't pay attention. But if you do care about additional information, a lot of times like this chat bubble comes up, you can right click on it and these characters in the game will interact and it's fully voice acted, which really impressed me. Their in-game cutscenes, like there's still that kind of hierarchy of there's like the pre-rendered ones will look amazing. There's the not pre-rendered ones which look still pretty good because your character's not in it. And then there's the pre-rendered or the non-pre-rendered ones that include your character and they don't look that great. That is still a thing. But I think they make it up in just the voice acting. There's so much of it. It is wild. And it comparing it to Dawn Trail as we're playing through it, I'm just looking at Dawn. There's so many times in Dawn Trail, I'm like, how is this cutscene not voiced? Like, what are we doing?
God.
You have an amazing voice cast.
Yes, that has been, and I've never heard an excuse for it that's made any sense to me.
No.
For why there are other games that are fully voice acted and this game doesn't have as many voiced cutscenes. Like, please, I
What's
want
even
more
crazier?
of them.
If you turn on Japanese audio, sometimes scenes that have no VO in the English version have VO in the Japanese version.
What?
Yeah.
I've heard this recently, and it's
not
one important scene apparently.
A lot, but it's more. And it is, and again, I think it has to do with
Very interesting.
doing some sort of I don't know, like the translation or maybe some of the audio recording here in the US or whatever the case may be, or how much time they have to do stuff. But there's definitely some things that don't make sense. And absolutely, even though I forgot to include it, I should have in my video for Dawn Trail. They need to do more. Like the amount of reading I had to do in this one was too damn high. For a game that has so much voice acting, they included so much dialogue that was like, just read this. And then the next scene would be voice. And then the voice would stop. And then I have to read more. And I'm like, what? So I don't know. I would very much like, especially if they do something like they just did with Dawn Trail, where they're like, here are a bunch of words you've never seen before in your entire life. Pronounce them on stream, asshole. I would rather they start with like a guy coming in saying the word to me, so then I would know if I had to read stuff later. I don't know. It just seems that there's a lot of moments, especially main story moments. Just pay the people to voice act. You guys are making money hand over fist. Makes no sense why they wouldn't do that.
I mean, you definitely want to like take all the facets of the MMOs. Like we've been playing some Guild Wars, and you just want to like push them all together and be like, just take all that and just condense and just become this perfect, like the WoW thing. It is absolutely like you find Anduin, he's sitting by a fire, and you click on him, and he's like, "Oh, champion, oh man," and he's so like, and it's heartfelt and it's intense, and you're like, "Wow, WoW can kind of have this heart to it." But then you have the mouth flapping scene, and you're just like, "Ooh, I can't even relate to this." Please do the Final Fantasy theater thing where hand on heart means this is emotional, hands out means you're explaining things, and it kind of gives you this vibe of what they're saying. I love Yakuza or like Persona 5. Like they'll sometimes have like a like the guy just kind of like and you're like, I know this statement is said with an energy.
Right.
But if he's like, ho ho, kind of like a Banjo Kazooie thing, you're like, oh, this is excitement. Banjo is excited about what he's saying. And you can find this middle ground to tell your story. I think both are kind of struggling to find what that is.
That's where I'm at. Comparing the two is I think like in-game cutscene quality, 14 still takes it. Like even the like most mundane kind of just dispensing information cutscenes, still it's just a little tighter, looks better visually, even if it's not voice acted than World of Warcraft. But War Within, I think, is really bringing it with the voice acting, both the quality and just the sheer amount. I'm astounded by how much voice acting there is in War Within.
I think they took a note from Guild Wars. Guild Wars has so much VO, like a ludicrous amount of VO in their game. And half the time it is just you're walking around and dudes are talking to you and you don't even have to pay attention to it. And they still invested the time. They could have just found other ways to convey that information. And they chose to have characters talk to you while you like, I'm running around and I'm doing my stuff. And I love that. And I've always wanted more of that in, like just MMOs in general. I think WoW is finally picking up on, hey, we don't have to have loads of text. We can just, like you were saying, have people talk to your character if you want that information. And if you also play where I see quest, I see marker on map, I go to marker on map, I don't care. That's another way you can, there's different options there. And so I'm very intrigued because part of me wants deeply WoW to be good, because it's a thing that I love and invested like time in, and just like anything, I am here for a good comeback. I'm also just like, all right, is it good, or is everyone just like caught up in the sauce right now? Like, what's going on? So I keep asking everyone, what do you think? And everyone across the board has been like, dude, I'm having a blast. It's been a lot of fun. Even if they are like you guys, just, you know, a couple hours in doing stuff, everyone's feeling it. And so part of me is like, do I do this? Do I go back and play this? I don't know.
I mean, is the story the most important thing to you? Like, is that
always
kinda,
100%
okay,
across the board? Story's the most important. I've played games where the gameplay has been hot trash, and as long as the story's good, I will keep playing.
Oh, so you played Alan Wake?
1 and 2, although 2 is amazing.
I do not love the gameplay of 2. I think it's tough to do that after Control. But
I mean, Control's a different vibe, but yeah, like any and all games that have a great story, I'm completely in.
Cool.
Does not matter.
I think you should try it then, man, because like all reports I've heard, getting through the main story is very surmountable. It doesn't seem like it's particularly long, so I think you could kind of declare it as a week or two project and probably knock it out. You seem intrigued enough that I'm like, you should just do it. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I think about it, but then I also think about all the other things that are coming down the pipeline. Like a great example is,
that's fair,
I'm very intrigued about the new Dragon Age. I want to play that, even though some of the previous Dragon Ages have not been great games story-wise. They're fascinating to me, and I'm like, okay, yeah. I would like to invest several hours in wooing Cassandra. Like, let me do this. Like, okay.
Naturally.
Like, and so I'm totally down to, I would like to spend the next couple hours making sure Harding falls in love with me. You're the best scout, Harding. What I'm trying to, I want that experience. And so I'm like, all right, well, oh God, do I have the time and patience for investing into WoW again while also investing into 14, while also all these other games I have to play? It's a lot. It's a lot. And so part of me thinks, what if I wait and see what happens as they release patches for WoW? And is it smarter to jump back in to World of Warcraft right before the next expansion because of the fact that, to be real, Warcraft rewards you for arriving late. Like, the later you are to playing the game, the easier it is to do everything. And so I'm like, well, I wouldn't have to work hard for it, and I get the story I want. So maybe that's the plan. I don't know.
That's super valid.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on the type of player you are, right? Because we're trying to time travel in Final Fantasy 14. When we go back and do old extremes, we turn everything on that makes them as hard as humanly possible. And so I do, when it comes to boss encounters, I like it when they're more difficult. And so there's playing World of Warcraft somewhat current there. I see that as a bit of a positive, but one of the big thing I'm waiting to find out with War Within is if I feel unsatisfied at the narrative stopping point of the launch product, because they have historically not completed their story until 2 years after the expansion drops,
right?
Because they tell it a whole story across all the patches, and that was something that impressed the hell out of me with Final Fantasy 14 the first time I started getting through the MSQ, was that there were 2 sets of credits per expansion. At the end of the boxed expansion that you buy with the 0.0 patch, you get a full arc story. There's still more to tell, but it's not just the complete, we're going to hold you over the coals cliffhanger. It's not all hinging on what comes after. You feel like you read a whole book. And then for the 0.3 patch, you have another major climax and kind of close of an arc moment. And then credits roll again. And I love that. And I've always I've been, one of my favorite topics of conversation on our stream is could WoW do this? Do they need to do this? Do they care? How would I have felt as a giant Warcraft 3 fan if in Wrath of the Lich King, at the end of the leveling experience, the very first raid was already there and I went and killed Arthas right then and there, and everything that came after was a new arc that took place in Northrend? What if they did an Old Gods arc after you killed Arthas?
And that is it is jarring to think back. Even though I think Wrath is an incredible expansion, the process with which it gets to killing Arthas is okay, first thing, we're gonna go and we're gonna do a raid we've already done before. Second thing, we're gonna go and we're gonna do a raid for Old Gods. And at that point you were like, but wait, what? And that, there's 2 cross lines because everyone keeps talking about the God of Death, and suddenly you're like, wait, is that Arthas or is that the old god? So now you're getting confusing leveling things going on when it comes to concepts, and then they're like, yo, how do you feel about actually fighting the bad guy? And you're like, I guess, are we doing this? And I loved that at the time, but when I look back at it, I'm like, it's kind of all over the place vibe wise, and it would have been smarter, I think. You beat Arthas, and then after that, it's the fallout of that moment for the rest of the patches, and then you can throw Old Gods in, and it can get super cool and weird. Now that I think about it, I'm like, that sounds fantastic. I would have loved that idea. But WoW was never about storytelling. It was about cool moments. It's here's a cool moment, and here's a cool moment, and here's a cool dungeon, and here's a cool level, and here's a cool thing to do, and oh yeah, we're gonna do this Deathwing thing, and we're gonna time travel, and we're gonna do some. But none of it was ever we're going to make it really cohesive. It was all sort of, here's something very cool you can do. And at the time, you're like, this is very cool. But looking back, I'm like, it was all kind of all over the place.
Yeah. Well, I find it to be a fun, mental exercise to be how would I remix other MMO narratives that I give a crap about to be more satisfying in the moment the way 14 is? Because I think I'm the perfect mark for 14 because I also just love MMO, the Holy Trinity style combat of healer, DPS, tank, And so I am perfectly fine to kind of spend a massive chunk of my time in 14 playing it as essentially as a visual novel and getting invested in the story. And then on the back end, I just have a giant MMO playground to just go nuts in. And I really like that.
With that said, without spoiling, obviously I don't want to ruin things for Dodger at all. General vibe check on Dawn Trail with the two of you.
Well, funny you should ask, because we just put out a video an hour before this program with our vibe check.
Oh, yes, it is quite the vibe check. Yes.
Yes, the MSQ videos have returned. I've been struggling with it. I think it's this is the most I've struggled with in being invested in the MSQ since Realm Reborn.
That's, I mean, headphones went off.
Okay.
Honestly, I was just saying the headphones went off, and I thought it was very. Honestly, I think it's the way I thought it was going to be is like a Realm Reborn. I was like, oh, they're starting over. It's going to be them throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. And that's the vibe I get from the vast majority of it. The best way I can think to describe it, though, is it feels, at least in expansion wise, it feels like the World of Warcraft movie, where the first half of that movie is just 80,000 things happening. And then the second half is like, oh, now we have to tell the plot. That's the vibe I get from this. And it feels like a Realm Reborn to me. And so I'm like, oh, okay, sure. It hasn't affected me much, and I don't particularly care. I'm like, all right, it's whatever. But there's some things I would change. But there's some things I love. And I'm just like curious what everyone thinks, because I'm kind of like right down the middle.
Interesting.
Okay.
I definitely, I mean, like Garrett and I, of course, have different opinions. We kind of voice them together in the videos, and it kind of makes this eventual cohesion lump of what our feeling is. So for me, like there's a lot of threads I think I pulled wrong to get going. Like I got really excited about the storm, and I was like, well, that's just there's a Kraken or something. And
it is a plot device to get other things to happen. Yes.
And you know, like there's a lot of threads you can pull. One thing I'd love about it is that the difficulty continues to rise. It's something I'm finding a struggle in World of Warcraft sometimes. This reset of your player skill, like the first dungeon being so easy, is kind of like, well, but no, like Dawn Trail, it has this escalation. The if you didn't do the solo battles before, the duties before this, the trials before this, you're not going to do very good here, because it sits on top of the previous games in terms of gameplay. And that's really satisfying. But I'll use, for the spoiler freeness of it, I'll use a Dragon Age Inquisition analogy. I can handle, I love exploration. I love political machinations.
Oh, are you in the hinterlands right now?
I love the map stuff. I love anytime we do map stuff. When Hancock's talking, I'm in. There's tons of stuff I absolutely love that drives Garrett insane. But I always, what absolutely sends me is when a really fun thing is made and not used, like a set piece. And in Dragon Age Inquisition, it was the chair. Remember the guy who showed up and like threw a goat at your castle? Like that was so insane. And you had this Inquisition chair that you'd sit in and like rule from on high, but it happened like twice. And it never escalated. You never used the chair. You were the man of the Inquisition. You were the whole point of this entire organization. And it just never got utilized. So one of the rights that involved culinary expertise,
sure,
it drove me insane. I went a little insane for a hot moment.
That was definitely, I think, the peak for both of us. And when we agree on not liking something, that's when I just give in to my deepest and darkest desires and become a completely insufferable asshole. If Kyle isn't there to kind of like be me, I'm like, yeah, you're right. It was like the worst food cutscene in the history of this game. Food cutscenes are usually full of charm and joy. And instead, it's just like, here's a taco. Eat the taco. Congratulations, you won. Move on. And it sent me. And we scrapped a whole video because we both spent the entire time just yelling at clouds.
Well,
and we've talked about it since on stream. like, hey, we didn't like this and we've explained why. So it's not, like, I want to be very clear. We're not like censoring ourselves, but also like, that's not the kind of product I want to put out. I do not want a box product of a video that lives there on the internet forever, just be this cesspool of negativity.
Well, we also stopped there because we thought that was the end of that chapter, only to play a little more and be like, oh, this is a way better stop point for a video. So let's actually scrap that one, play a little more, and then put out what we did today. So,
yeah.
Yep. All right. That's all I want to know. That's it. That's all I was just curious about. Like, I don't want to get too deep into it. We got to bring the actual host back.
Yes.
Hello, Dodger. We're fine now. We're fine. We're good. You can.
Hi.
Reverse earmuffs. You can earmuffs.
Yeah,
again.
you can put them back on now.
Fantastic.
All right.
Yeah.
Enough talk about MMOs. I want to talk about something amazing.
Oh.
Yes, Dukes?
I was going to ask if I could talk about a game. It's okay, though. I'll wait.
No, I was going to talk about a game, too.
Okay.
But you can talk about your game first.
Can I? I really want to talk about Wukong.
Oh, interesting.
Can I talk about Black Myth Wukong, please?
Sure.
Okay. So I started playing it. It came out on PS5 a while ago, but it's on Steam now, so more people are playing it now. It's a Souls-like that is based on the Journey to the West story, and I've been surprised by a few things. The game is gorgeous. First off, if you are unfamiliar with the story of Journey to the West, you will be a little bit lost, but in sort of the same way that you wind up being lost in most Souls games, unless you're pursuing the information. Does that make sense?
It's not like direct storytelling. It's kind of inferred storytelling.
So it's definitely telling a story. The issue is, hold on, let me change the title. Is that it's a follow-up to the story of Journey to the West. So at the very beginning, you are Son Wukong, and you are powerful as shit. And there's this huge, amazing cutscene and like the tutorial for the game and stuff. And I was thinking to myself, like, where does this game go from here? Because we're already like super powerful Son Wukong, right? So what happens here? And I was expecting sort of a standard video game trope, which is you start off powerful, something happens that takes away your power, and you have to start from zero, right?
Metroid, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's not that, but it's a similar sort of situation where you are not starting off as a super powerful entity, right? But it sort of, as you're going through, you are interacting with things that happen in Journey to the West, but obviously they happened before. And so I kept running into situations where I was like, okay, so this guy, he's this and he did this, and people that were watching that knew the story would have to clarify stuff. And would make it clear, like, you will not find this information in the game. You can't play this game enough or read enough things to know this bit of information. You would have to read the book or engage with the original story in some way in order to actually get the full picture of what's going on.
So kind of like a God of War situation, like Zeus walks in the room and you go, and everyone's like, oh, here it comes. And you wouldn't
You're like,
know.
oh, that guy sure seems sparkly, I guess. Yeah. So the reason I say it's sort of similar to how a lot of Dark Souls games are is that a lot of times in Dark Souls, the story is a bit more obtuse. Maybe if you read like items, you can piece information together, right? So in this game, there's definitely tons of nods to the story. All of the characters that you interact with and fight, it sounds like they're all from the book, or at least explained from the book. But here's the interesting thing for me is chapter 1 is basically a boss rush. So you have a fight, you walk a little bit, and then there's another fight, and you're like, oh. And then you walk a little bit more and there's another fight. And maybe you're like, oh, I'll go off. Obviously, the game wants me to go this way, so I'll go this way instead. Secret extra fight, right? Like, there's just things to fight everywhere. And I was like, is this the game? Because apparently in the original book, there's 81 battles. So I was like, are there 81 things to fight in this game? Chapter 2 is almost the opposite issue, where there are boss fights. They're not hard to find, but it is so easy to get lost and be like, where am I? The exploration is so broad in chapter 2 in comparison to chapter 1 that I consistently was like, I don't even know where I am anymore. And I think the way that they try to combat that is that you have immediately from the get-go, you have fast travel between the like legally distinct bonfires, right? You have these little shrines that you tap. So you can always fast travel between all of the shrines from the very start of the game. And I think that's the way that they try to help you engage with the exploration without panicking too much and being like, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore, you know? But it's great. It's very, very fun. It's a beautiful game. If you like Journey to the West, apparently a lot of people that enjoy Journey to the West or have like some connection with it really like the game and like what they've done with the story. Also, if you're really into buff hot animals, it's a good game for you. It's a very good game for you. There's a huge ripped horse that I found, and I was like, why did they make this horse so hot? That was unnecessary. It's everywhere.
Is this a horse man or a horse?
It's just a horse.
Just a rockin' horse, a real specimen.
So all of them are like anthropomorphized animals, right? So for the most part, it's like from here down, it's generally like a humanoid body, and then the head is like animal.
I'm just gonna Google Black Myth Wukong horse.
Black Myth Wukong horse NPC. And
it really is.
Wow.
It really is just like a buff man with a horse head.
Yes. What is that?
This is like Jason Momoa's body at the peak performance with a horse head on top.
Yeah, they just put a horse head on him.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
What the what?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
he's like messing around with a whip while he talks to you. It's very and then there's a ripped tiger that you fight who's drinking blood, so he's like covered in blood while he's fighting you.
Sure.
But then there's a bear guy who's literally just a bear. So it's inconsistent, but I'm fine with it.
So did you have experience with the story, or have you read the book, or how did you?
No, so I'm the guy going, I don't know who Zeus is, but he seems important. I'm that guy.
Have you watched
game.
Dragon Ball Z?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So I was like, ooh, we got the Nimbus Cloud. And,
yeah, you're kind of there.
You know, where the Dragon Ball's at. Yeah.
Okay, and the item descriptions are enough to be like, oh, so-and-so begot so-and-so, and now we have a horseman, and it's all good.
So at the end of chapter 1, and I assume this happens at the end of each chapter, at the end of chapter 1, there was a gorgeous music video, and you can go back and like watch them. You can go to the title screen and like rewatch them as many times as you want, but it was like a gorgeously animated video to a song, and it sort of in an, I don't want to say abstract. I don't think it was really abstract, but it took the elements of what happened in that chapter and sort of showed the story or like the stuff that you might have missed about what happened. It sort of performs it for you with music, and it was so cool. I loved it. So it's interesting because I definitely, without chat, I would have walked away being like, I'm missing information, right? But generally, I get the vibe of like the importance of these characters and what their relationships are with each other. And if something they were hoping for was that more people would go read Journey to the West after playing this game, I'm sure they have. I'm very curious now what the original story's like.
So it's less like the end of chapters in Alan Wake 2 where you got a song that was associated but not directly about the chapter you just played. You're getting a musical number that's like explaining the plot.
I couldn't understand. I don't think it had vocals. I think it was just music, and then the characters performing, sort of like acting out a story, and
So
you sort of
interpretive dance?
Oh, is it like puppetry? Is it or is it literally just animated?
hold on. I'm gonna show it to you.
Okay.
Okay, I'm here for it. By the way, I just want to say I looked up the guy's name. The horseman is named Horseguy. Here's the thing: if you play Dynasty Warriors, you know that for many years, Guy was just pronounced Guy. So in my mind, this dude's name was just Horse Guy, and I love that for him because he is in fact a horse guy.
So I will trust. Shout out, by the way, to Jesse for putting in like pictures and video and stuff as we talked about it in the VODs.
We'll put it in.
It's been
I
great.
got you.
Here is the video. If you want to just like click through that and get a vibe for it, it's just
You linked
beautiful.
it to us.
I did.
Oh, and it is in the Discord chat. Yeah.
Yes, I'll put it in Twitch chat.
Oh, it's like animated.
It's a gorgeous animated video. Yeah, I wasn't lying to you.
Shit, this is really pretty.
Yeah.
That's very nice. Yeah. Wow.
So the things that are showing up in this video are I was able to pretty easily make assumptions about like, oh, this kid is so and so, and oh, we just interacted with that bear, and like, you know, and so you can kind of piece together the story.
Interacted as in killed, and then displayed, like you defeat.
I wasn't gonna spoil it.
Well, you
do fight the bear. Yeah.
Yes.
Is it a bear or a bear man?
He's a bear. I mean, he's a man that transforms into a bear. He's a bear.
That sounds excellent, because that's exactly how I play Dark Souls games. Is
As
I
a
go
bear.
in, I kill the boss, and then I go and then open a Wikipedia and read all about
Right. Then you get someone else to tell you.
You
what
would
you just
definitely
did.
be able to do that with this.
But I don't want to know before, you know. But so this sounds kind of like a Demon Slayer sort of like vision of their life and emotions past them being an absolute ass to me and beating me up for hours.
It was that. Yeah.
That's
It's still justified in the murder of that man bear pig. Yeah.
Yeah, but a little sad about
Or
it,
not,
you know?
or you feel really bad for them, and you're like, "Oh
Right.
man, they never wanted to fight me," you know. So you never know.
It's that Godzilla thing. You put down Godzilla, you feel kind of bad, but also like Godzilla. What were you doing?
He'll be back.
But also
You're fine, yeah.
a world-ending threat. Yeah.
Exactly, but we're kind of responsible for it, and like we didn't have to if the world
Yeah.
was different. But it's
Yeah,
Right.
Matthew Broderick really needs to feel sad about what he did.
Right. Before those velociraptors, I mean, Godzilla's chase him down. Yeah.
those graphics were nuts. That gumball, they were tripping on those gumballs. It was great.
That movie sucks so bad. Anyway, and we can't forget the soundtrack with P. Diddy singing
Yep.
"Come With Me" or whatever that song was.
Yeah, and the laziest quote
Led
unquote
Zeppelin.
remix of Green Day's Brain Stew, where it's just the same song with a couple Godzilla roars dropped in.
We all know.
What a time to be alive.
But I'm sorry, I'm confused. I thought we all like Godzilla. Why are you trashing on the titular Godzilla release?
Oh, you
which
mean the best Godzilla movie
stars
ever?
Matthew Broderick? Yeah, I don't understand your shade, Jesse. I thought you were a Godzilla fan.
Somewhere. Well,
What a fool I've
Unreal.
been. Yeah. I just what a liar.
What game did you want to talk about, Jesse?
Boy, oh boy.
Boy, oh
Everyone,
boy.
let me tell you about what I think might be game of the year, hands down. I know everyone's talking about Wukong, but you're all fools. It's a little ditty called Astro Bot. Let me set up the
I wanna
premise
play
for
it
you.
so bad.
Astro Bot is a game that on the surface appears to be pure product placement and shamelessness on behalf of Sony PlayStation. The premise, this is absolutely real. The premise is you are the mascot of PlayStation 5, Astro Bot,
Okay.
traveling through space on your ship that is a PlayStation 5, and a green creature, don't know what that means, a green creature shows up and destroys your PlayStation 5 and takes the processor and takes the GPU and takes takes the parts, and you have to go as Astro Bot, travel around the galaxy to different galaxies like the Gorilla Galaxy or the Snake Galaxy and do levels to finally beat the boss to get the parts back for your console. You, Astro Bot, crash onto a desert world along with the remnants of your console and a controller. The controller is the ship in which you used to travel between galaxies. And so the premise is you need to go around to the various galaxies and collect not only the parts of your ship, the PlayStation 5, but also collect all the 300 other Astro Bots that exist. And these Astro Bots are representatives of all these other games that exist on the Sonyverse.
Oh, wait, so just to be clear, they're representative of all of the IP that Sony doesn't have that the CEO is sad about?
And other things, yes. They have, it is also, it's just so funny. Like, there are things, I don't even recognize these games. Some of them I'm like, who is this character? So, yes, a lot of IP that they don't use anymore, but like they definitely don't have. Anyway, so you would think, okay, well, that's stupid. Like, that's like, all right, fun, I guess. Here's the thing. Once you leave the desert world and you go off and you, again, yeah, I see someone said member berries the game. You would think, okay, yeah, that's it. False. You go off and you go to the galaxies. Each level, even late in the game, each level it feels handcrafted to be different and create some new weird fun mechanics in each level. So a great example, one of my favorite levels in the game is Astro Bot. What will happen is you fly your little controller, and the controller itself is finally using all the gyro shit that they put in it years and years and years ago. So mechanics just from the controller. When you're flying on a ship doing this, you can barrel roll your controller. You can like make the ship move. You can do all sorts of crazy stuff with the ship. So sometimes when you start a level, before you land, you're flying down from the stratosphere, and there's like collectibles and shit to get on your way down, or there's things to dodge. So you're already doing a mini game before you even start the game. Then you'll land, and the level could be, for example, one of my favorite ones is you land, and it seems like a very confined sort of level. It doesn't seem very big. And you see a big thing of cheese, and you punch that cheese enough, and it reveals a treasure chest. And the treasure chest opens up, and a mouse is inside. The mouse jumps on your back, and mechanically, what has happened now, if you press right trigger, you shrink to the size of a mouse. So now you can explore the level as just normal size, but also a mouse. And you can get into all the nooks and crannies of the level. You can do all sorts of, you can like get into a clock, collect coins, find the other. So this level is a mouse level. You are a mouse running around the level. Another level is you are going to casino. And at the casino, you arrive, and it's like a busy world where there's like cars everywhere. It's like a flying metropolis in the sky. And a car crashes in front of you, and out from the back of the car, a box pops. You punch open the box, and it's a clock. It's a stopwatch. And you now can stop time. So you're in a speeding metropolis where you can now stop time. And mechanically, you're jumping on the cars. You're going to the casino. You're rigging the games to win in the casino. You are, there's an enemy that's this car, and he throws other cars at you. In order to kill, because he's way up high, in order to kill him, you have to stop time, jump on his cards that he's thrown you, and then punch him in the face. But because you have little lasers on your feet, mechanically, as you're jumping, you're also cutting the cards, and they cut in half and like fall to the ground. It is charming as shit. It is awesome. So that's one level, is you're doing like, the end of the level is a slot machine gets pulled. It's a giant slot machine. You have to jump up the chips as the slot machine. It's in slow motion because you've paused time. So you have to get up there. And that's one level. One level is a volcano is like sick. He's like, oh man. And he's like exploding. He keeps sneezing. And lava is covering the level. You have a rubber duck, and the rubber duck squirts water. And you have to make the ground solid, but if it only lasts a certain amount of time, so you have to keep going or you fall in the lava. There are levels where I just did one last night where you are in the sky, and a bunch of flowers in the sky, and you have to go from flower to flower, but mechanically you blow up like a balloon. But there's some enemies that try to suck you up, or like do things. So you have to like kill them with the power of you have to deflate into them, and they go pew and fly away. There's one level where a robot is like chained down. You have to help the robot, and then when you help him, he's like, "Come on, little dude," and like you like go off and like do a whole thing with the robot, and that's just levels that are not associated with anything. They're just fun little goofy levels, and there's so many of them. They constantly change. One is you're underwater. It's like an underwater level, but it's the first underwater level that isn't a giant pain in the ass because you can go above and below the water because you have a little a penguin that straps to your back, and he makes you go like speed through the water, and so you can jump out of the water and land on stuff and do things out of the water and jump and go like even deeper into the water and go to an area where you need a light to see. It's so cute, and the whole thing is just every level is X number of bots to find, X number of puzzle pieces to find, and maybe a portal to a secret area that will give you more cool stuff. That's just every level is just built to that. And then in each galaxy, there are a bunch of hidden levels you can find. But for the most part, it is you do the main levels, and then there's a boss. And the boss would be, and there's like a giant snake one that was super fun. There's a giant octopus that I did. There's a gorilla. The gorilla fight's amazing. I'm doing one where now I have to fight a giant iguana. They're like, just like goofy things to fight. But then the hero that you collect in the last level is a mainstay of the PlayStation just as a console. And so a great example is I beat an enemy, and at the end, I saved Kratos. And Kratos was like, come on. I actually saved Kratos and Boy. And they were like, come on, let's go to this secret level. And now you're in a God of War level where Kratos gives you his axe, and you literally play mechanically what feels exactly like God of War.
Oh, that's
You're throwing your axe. You're like stopping, like you throw your axe, you stop like like gears from moving, so you can climb up stuff. You freeze enemies. You have to look for the ravens, the like green ravens that fly around to unlock things. You do a boss fight against the thing. You have to swing. Like it is purely, they're just like, we're gonna take that and put it in this game, and it feels so good. And the music across the board is some of the best music I've ever heard. And then for each level that is based off of a major franchise staple, they just do a remix of the main theme. But it's like upbeat and super fun. And everything about it, suddenly you're just like, oh my God, is this the best game I've ever played? Then once you get all the people and all the puzzle pieces, you travel back to your desert planet and you start unlocking things on it to make it better. Sure, you're rebuilding your ship, but also all the people, all the little bots are now on the planet with you. And working together, you can access other parts. So if you need 100 bots, you press the bots, they all run over, like they run over, and they'll form like a giant ladder that falls over, and then you run across them, and they're like, yay! And you get across, and you've accessed a new area. And also, hilariously, is the puzzle pieces unlock different mechanics in the starting area. So if you collect enough puzzle pieces, you'll unlock a gacha game. So the coins in the game can be used at the gacha game to buy accessories for the various characters that exist. So a great example is if you unlock the gacha for Ryu and Ken, the two of them will get their powers and be able to fight. So now you can walk up to them and make them fight each other, and that actually unlocks an achievement is by getting them to do a full combo on each other. So they'll do like I just got Lara Croft the other day, and she's sitting there, like standing there, like, yeah, all right, yeah, I'm an adventurer. But if you unlock her accessory, it's a Velociraptor, and it just chases her around the entire area the entire time. That's like her gimmick. You can get like the Castlevania characters are there. So Alucard is in his coffin, and when you punch, and he doesn't have a coffin at first. If you get him a coffin, he'll be in the coffin. You punch the coffin, he'll open up, his hair's all messed, and he like quickly combs his hair. Then he looks in the mirror but sees nothing, and he's like, yeah. And then he goes back to bed. It's pure goofery.
It's very
Everything
charming.
about it it's very charming, and there's things to do there. And then you can do all these other bonus things. So for example, you can, if you get enough puzzle pieces, you unlock a thing that lets you change the way your controller looks, or you unlock a thing that lets you change your outfits, or you unlock a safari zone where you can go and do picture mode on random stuff in the safari zone that then goes back to the real world, where if you're going like doing missions and stuff and you're doing actual levels, you can find secret photo spots. And they'll be like, you get behind one of those big cardboard cutouts, you stick your face in, then a bunch of characters from the level show up and you can take a picture of it. It's so incredibly charming that you almost forget it is shameless promotion for Sony products. It is, everything about it is like, remember this game? Remember that game? But then you'll do things like go to the levels that are based off of Uncharted, and it plays and feels like an Uncharted game. You'll go and you'll do that Ape Escape game, or the one where you have to like chase the monkeys with the net. And it feels like you're doing that. You are frustrated with those damn apes because they're just like running in circles. You're like, just stand still. It is so it's great. It's an incredible game. I cannot stress this enough. It is, like, I was talking with Crendor about this. I was like, this game is a you game. If you like Mario Galaxy or Banjo-Kazooie or anything, like, this is right up there. It is incredibly, incredibly good. And it's weird to say that because I acknowledge up front, it is pure. Again, the concept of the game is a green creature attacked the PlayStation, and the PlayStation's like, we got to fight back against that green thing. It's, but it's just everything about it. Every level feels different. Every mechanic, it feels like they keep adding things even late into the game where you're just like, where the hell did this come from? It really feels like a celebration of the entire just like catalog of games. And there'll be times where you're just playing through a level and you'll see a character and be like I did a desert level, and then one of the guys I saved was the dude from Journey, and I was like, hey, I know this guy, and he's like, thank you, and he like jumps into your controller and you're like, yeah, that was nice, that was pretty cool. I don't know, it's a lovely game. I cannot stress it enough.
I adore the original, and I had a similar experience. I was like, it's a pack-in game where we're just like it's like pornographic on a PlayStation level, the first one, because you collect all of the history of PlayStation hardware, but it's like rendered with extreme detail, and then it's in like a museum at the end. And I remember going in knowing that and just being like, I'm honestly not that big of a Sony fan. This probably will do nothing for me. And the original like pack-in game with the PS5 is an incredible platformer. So
I totally forgot. Just another example of things I didn't know that the PlayStation could do that no one ever uses, and it's shocking to me that there are parts where, there's parts where like a giant water gun will appear and you have to use the controller to sort of maneuver the water gun. And I was like, oh, that's fun. I'm doing different things. But there's one part where there's a giant dandelion, and the game's like, hey, blow on the dandelion. You literally hold up a controller to your mouth and go, and the dandelion blows away. And I was like, how did it know to do that? What in the controller said this is it? Yeah. And I was like, is it a microphone thing? What?
Probably.
How did it pick up on that?
Yeah, you're blowing.
I was blown away by that. And there's so many things that exist in this that they're using that I don't know how many times developers have chosen to use that stuff. And it made me almost upset that they aren't using the tech that is clearly built in. My controller that I'm using is one that came with the original PlayStation back when I got it PlayStation 5 years ago. So this isn't like some new tech. It's been in that damn controller. And I'm just like, have we been getting subpar games where they're not using what this was clearly designed to be used? Like, this is fun. I'm having fun. And I was like, oh man. Like, there's one where you get an ape and he straps on your back and he has two giant, like, whatever that game was, arms or whatever for Nintendo, where you punch and do the fighting game.
Yeah.
It's spring arms. But the way the spring arms work is you have to like do this to pick which side your character is going to move. And so then you press the triggers to grapple, but you have to do this to decide. So you're actively doing things in this game. You're not just sitting there playing. And I'm like, this is so creative and fun. What have we done? I feel so let down by you, PlayStation. This was here the entire time. I'm loving it.
It's a massive demo of that controller. Like, it's so like the way that it can stiffen up the triggers, I find so impressive. I have found it impressive all the way back when I played the original Astro Bot. And like the only other game where I ever even noticed that is Spider-Man. Just sometimes.
Right.
Sometimes when you're swinging, they screw with the trigger tech a little bit. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I forgot that this is a thing. Every other game I play on my PlayStation, I feel like doesn't take advantage of that.
And it's hilarious because they also use the tech that they espouse PlayStation 5 being good for. So there's more than one. There's several series of special levels that are basically just voxel pixely levels and you can just break and they shatter into pieces, and it's all retro things you're doing. So you're saving retro characters and you're fighting retro, and it's just like, this was the promise. This was the promise of this console, and it took you this many years to finally make a game that I'm like, oh my God. It's fun to play, it's unexpected, and it just is a joy. Every moment I'm playing it, I'm smiling, and I cannot stress, it is incredibly fun.
I mean, have you played Mario Wonder? Like, that thing's got some crazy crap in it.
Yeah, and it feels that it's a weird thing to say, but it takes the fun that Nintendo tries to put in their games and puts it in a PlayStation game. Something that PlayStation tries to be cool and it tries to be awesome and like, oh yeah, this is for the adults. We don't want that kiddie shit. And this feels like they took some of that Nintendo goofery, put it in this game, and it does so well. They nail it. And I rarely am I this passionate about a game. I will evangelize Astro Bot until I die. It is so much fun. Yeah, it got me. Like, full on got me.
Everybody seems to be agreeing with you. It apparently feels amazing to play, if nothing else. So
it's I'll let you know my little personal tragedy at the moment, which is my almost 5-year-old found Astro's Playroom and loved it after playing Mario Odyssey and Mario Wonder, and he found the basement. We beat the T-Rex, found the basement where it had the countdown. And if you know what that means, it means you had to impose the parental monetary teaching tool of, you got to save up your money, kiddo. So I want to buy it. I want to get it like this weekend. I want to play it, but he wants it. So he's got to wait that. He's got to wait that 2-month time to save up his bucks.
True.
And get himself Astro Bot.
The great news is there are 3 save slots. So you can play and like you can have family play time. There's all sorts of different ways to play. It's, man, just so sweet.
It sounds perfect. It sounds like a perfect evolution of that original Playroom.
Mm-hmm. It's stunning that, again, I must stress, everything, if you were to tell me about this game on paper, I'd be like, that's shameless trash. That's so gross.
Sure.
Like, that is, I can't believe that they had the audacity to make a game where you play as the mascot and you like collect parts of a PlayStation and PlayStation, like, that's stupid. Somehow it's charming and lovely and everything about it is just so cute. I haven't even got, obviously there's more to it. I haven't even gotten to like, you discover there are levels, there are challenge levels that are based off the buttons on the controller. So there's an X challenge levels, there's triangle challenge levels, there's circle challenge. I'm like, again, on paper, that's the stupidest shit I've ever heard. In reality, it's awesome. And I can't express it to people enough. Like, it seems dumb, but it's just, it's great. The dev team knocked it out of the park.
I have to play it. You
do.
Convinced me.
You would love it. You would genuinely love it. Obviously, I'm sure that has to do with some of the news we'll talk about today. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh, what a good segue.
Oh.
Shall we move into news?
Our
newest segment.
I've heard about this.
I'm so excited to be here for this.
Yeah, it's a good set. The two of you have joined at the right time. So first off, the news that everyone was talking about yesterday, at least on the internet version known as Twitter or whatever it's called now, the PlayStation 5 Pro, it's coming finally, and the price is a ludicrous amount. It's $700, and depending on where you are in the world, more. And it is something that I would say, $700. All right, that's a lot of money, but at least you can take all the CDs that you have and put it in there and be fine. Is what I would say if it came with some sort of Blu-ray player, but it does not. You have to buy a separate thing to attach for another $99.
So
which
no
is
disc.
madness.
So super expensive. No disc drive.
Right.
Fantastic. Cool.
Right. And a lot of people are saying like, okay, well, this old console was more expensive. I think Jeff Keighley put out a list of all the old consoles for PlayStation with price adjustments and whatever. But even then, all those had disk drives. And so it's like, Well, the comparison does not matter because it doesn't have a disk drive. You are giving us a digital only. And it doesn't have a stand either, apparently, at least what Chad is saying. So, and I get it. We're all on PCs right now. And as PC owners, you can tell us what trash we are for complaining about the price of a console. But the idea of a console is that people who don't want to go in on a PC can have something to play. And that's the whole point, is it's supposed to be an affordable option. But you're literally just like, nah, dog.
Go. Yeah.
Yeah. And to not have the disk drive does not make a lot of sense. It is one of the reasons why people got the console anyway. With that said, statistically, people are using more download, less disk-based gaming lately. So I get why they did it. It probably saved them money, but jacking up the price is a wacky thing. And yeah, that's the big hubbub. So while I sit here and say, boy, this game based on Sony is amazing, Sony based on Sony, not so great, is what my takeaway is.
Okay, I see the parallel, the celebration at the same time as the big throw down and ask for money for a thing that might not be worth it.
Yeah, I saw some of the footage of it. I think it was Last of Us. They showed footage of Last of Us. It is negligible at best.
You can't tell, yeah.
I mean, same thing with PlayStation 4. I had a PlayStation 4. They said get PS4 Pro, and I was like, nah, I'm all right. Like, I don't know. I don't feel the desire to run out and get it. I have my PlayStation. It's right here, and it's been doing a thing. If you wanted to wait, and you were like, I gotta wait a couple years, then like, all right, I'm not gonna tell you what to buy. People buy iPhones every year for some reason, but like, I don't understand it. I have no desire to get it, but yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing to do, especially in a time when everyone's like, yo, I don't have any money. So
timing is odd. Yeah.
There was a time about a year ago I was shopping for a new screen. So I started watching screen reviewers, monitor reviewers. There's a whole industry of people who just do this all day long. It's their whole YouTube channel. And you're watching somebody explain how good a 4K looks when you're sitting there on a 1080p, and he's got the screen on your screen telling you to believe him that it looks this good because your screen's not good enough to see how good this screen looks currently on screen.
Right.
So is there perhaps, just like a mental journey, is there perhaps a world where I don't have a TV nice enough to even fathom how great the Ratchet and Clank leaves now look due to AI upscaling and
to be honest,
tracing?
I feel like there is some of that, but also I think it's the same thing when people say like, this TV can broadcast in up to 12K. They're like, yeah, but nothing is broadcasted at that. So what's the point? Like, that's nice. I guess we're future proofing, but we're not doing anything like that.
I'm in this weird thing. So I've been playing a little bit of Star Wars Outlaws. It was a game I was very excited about because I'm Star Wars trash. I love everything Star Wars. It does not matter how good or how bad is it. I love all Star Wars, and so I was really excited for that. And it's pretty rare these days I even have time to like play a game when it's new. But I'm just personally so excited for this game. I was like, all right, I know I'm gonna pay full new game price for this. So I've done something I haven't done in a long time, which was I went and watched reviews of how it performs on either Xbox or PlayStation versus the PC, because I have all of it and I can play where I want. But it seemed like a couch game. I've got a pretty nice TV. It seems like the kind of thing I want to like lay on the couch and play with a controller. And everything I saw of the console version, like, this looks like crap. Like, the frame rate is terrible. And then if you go into performance mode, like, it really detunes the visuals of the game. And so I am at this point in my life where I'm actually kind of looking at consoles going like, I just bought you and new games don't look that great on it. So I get to some degree having this kind of mid-cycle refresh option and then kind of treating it like a phone, even though when it happened last generation with the PS4 and the Xbox One, that was the dumb name they gave it, right? I was just like, why are we doing this? I'm not going to buy a console twice before the next generation. But so, yeah, I don't know. I'm in this weird spot because I'm like, I'm not going to do it. I already have a PS5. I'm just going to make do with as it is. And games like Astro Bot perform wonderfully. And then I guess I'll just pick up games like that are, a little that are really pushing these consoles to a limit, like Outlaws. I guess I'll just pick them up on PC, and I think that's how I'm going to live my life. But that's not for everybody. My extremely powerful PC is a business expense. That's not the case for everybody. However, I do think for $700 you are knocking on the door of a halfway decent PC. Like, you could spend a little bit more and probably push it further, but yeah, it is a tough sell. But at the same time too, I'm like, the people who are going to buy this, they're already going to buy it. Like, so yeah, what's the point in the discourse? Like, you already know if you're going to buy this or not.
And I believe the console cycle, at least what they're telling devs, is 2008 is the next wave of consoles. So, I mean, like, we're getting there. It'll be a thing. So, chill out. It'll be fine. But if you want to save some money, this is kind of interesting. Steam has launched families. And this is super neat. So basically they launched Steam Families. And Steam Families means that 5 members of a family can purchase one game and then everyone can play that.
Oh, dang.
Right. I love this. I think it's very neat. Developers can choose whether to be a part of it or not. I'm letting you know right now, hey, developers, choose to be a part of it. Just for the goodwill of it, choose to be a part of it. And the way it works, at least according to them, is if 2 members of the family want to play a game at the same time, they have to purchase 2 copies of the game. So you can't all play at the same time.
Okay.
So it isn't like I buy a game and then for some reason I'm like, Dodger, you're my family. Let's play this game together. Wink. Like that's not going to fly. They're not going to let you do that. But if you have other family members and say there are 4 family members, at least according to them, Valve explains it this way. Let's say you are a family of 4. And you own a copy of Portal 2 and a copy of Half-Life. At any time, one member can play Portal 2 and the other can play Half-Life. If 2 of you would like to play Portal 2 at the same time, someone else in the family will need to purchase a copy of the game. After the purchase, there are 2 owned copies of Portal 2 across the family. Any 2 members can play at the same time. In this example, if your family chooses not to buy a second copy, you can play any other game in your library while waiting for the person who is playing Portal 2 to finish. And I was like, that seems pretty reasonable to me.
Okay, so an evolution of their sharing system they already had, but you could not play on that account if they were currently playing a different game.
Also, if I recall correctly, their laws or their rules around if somebody in your family gets caught cheating on a game, whoever is like the head of the family, registered as the head of it, both they and the person who is caught cheating, both of you are banned from the game.
Damn.
Interesting.
So some people were saying
parenting might have to be involved, eh?
Yeah. Some people were saying that's kind of harsh, but like if that's gonna make it so parents are keeping an eye on what their kids are doing in a game so that they don't also screw up their ability to play the game, then sure.
I love the idea of parents having to start parenting on game EULAs. Just like, don't you dare fire up Final Fantasy 14 with mods and get my account banned. Like,
yeah, I think it's pretty neat. I think the idea of you can buy more than one copy so more people can play, especially Portal 2, because I imagine you want to like Peabody and Norbert or whatever the hell those 2 guys, Atlas and Peabody, you can like playing together would be a thing. But I love the idea of, hey, we bought it, the whole household can play it. It isn't just, a lot of the time I've had many conversations where people are like, look, I have an account and I want to have other people in my family use my account on their computer.
Right.
Because if we're going to buy it, I want to buy 1 copy of the game. I don't want to end up buying 2. But what ends up happening is that if you try to share, that means I can't play it all. And so I'm totally down for people having access to play all their different games whenever they want, and everyone's under like one roof. Big fan of that.
I think probably the next thing that the thing that people are going to want that I don't think they're going to have the infrastructure for is to combine 2 accounts to say like, well, if under other circumstances, we would be under a family account. So can we just combine our 2 accounts into one family account? But I don't think they're going to have the infrastructure to do that. I might be wrong, but
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, man. I am very curious to see how it all pans out in the end, because there's going to be some sort of thing I haven't thought of where it's like, actually, it's terrible. And I'm very curious what that will be, because there's got to be. It can't be like the most perfect thing in the world. So I'm very curious what interesting fallout there'll be from that, or what people will find that it's like, But if it turns out to be awesome, like account inheritance was another great. Yes, chat's absolutely correct. Account inheritance was a whole other thing. So I mean, there is a snag there. If like I buy it and we're all under one roof, if I lose my account or I'm dead, what happens to that game? If I bought it, is it my game, or can you still play it? Is this their answer to that?
Right.
I don't know.
That's an interesting thought. Yeah, because that did kind of, they just went, no, it's gone forever.
Right.
So if you're part of the family and the primary holder passes, do you get access to? And then what Dodger was saying was almost like you like marry your accounts. Like, we've been together a long time. I think I'm ready for your Steam account to combine with my Steam account. And together we'll have 2 copies of Elden Ring.
Will you be a part of my Steam family?
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting topic. I'm glad they're doing it, but it's also kind of like, all right, where's this leading to? But then the big news story yesterday, obviously, was Annapurna Interactive.
Of course,
It's the one that everyone's been talking about. It is basically, for those who don't know, the staff apparently wanted to spin Annapurna Interactive into another independent entity, like a completely different company. For the record, Annapurna Interactive and Annapurna the Pictures, the company that is involved with making the movies, and more importantly, for those who are really curious about it, because a lot of people are asking me, the Remedyverse, they're just all the Remedy games. Control 2 was being funded through Annapurna. That's all Annapurna.
Yep.
That's all through the Pictures. So that is not this. Annapurna Interactive is Outer Wilds, Stray, Cocoon, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. They were working on Blade Runner 2033. That's that portion of this. The picture side apparently is not affected at all, and the picture side is what was associated with Remedy. Now, it's up to Remedy what the vibe is over there, because I don't know if it's like a terrific look to be involved in like controversies and stuff, but that's a different thing. It's a completely different associated thing.
Gotcha.
But basically, the staff wanted to make this independent entity, and then negotiations broke down. So following that, they straight up just all 25 members collectively resigned. And I guess Interactive president Nathan Gary was like, yeah, it was a hard decision, but we're committed to, not only our existing slate of games, but also expanding our presence in the interactive space. And we're just going to like look to tell more stories. And they all just dipped, which collectively, that's unheard of. Like, that's really impressive. They all had the audacity to be like, no, we will not do this anymore. And so it's brave, it's daring, and honestly, I'm kind of here for the collective action going on over there. Now, obviously, I don't know enough of the details of what was going on behind the scenes. I don't know what the negotiations were or why they broke down, but I think it's very interesting that they all just straight up just pieced out.
Jeez, that's intense.
Yeah. Very interesting. I don't know where they go from here. I don't know if that means they're going to form a new company, or if it means they're all going to get hired to go work at other places. Right now, we just have no answers. But again, this is like their interactive team had some really great games, and they were doing good work. And so I don't necessarily know if it was about the games or sales or anything. I think it was just about the direction of the company, and they chose to go a different way. But that's just me interpreting. I don't know. Found it fascinating.
It's very much ongoing. I mean, here all you see is like, we're going to protect the games we have from one side, and then the resigning employees being like, it was a hard decision. And that's it. Like, there's no other word.
Yeah, there's a surprising lack of like mud throwing. Yeah. I don't know what to
Yeah,
make
'cause
of that.
I honestly, big same. I don't necessarily know any of the behind the scenes stuff, but so the Hollywood Reporter, according to Sparks in chat, mentioned Annapurna wanted to expand to AAA and bring their gaming division under their supervision. The gaming team wanted to stay indie. And so that was the big
no,
point
thank you.
Oh, look.
And I get it.
That makes a lot of sense if
perfect
that's the
sense.
case.
Yeah. You know what? I trust the Hollywood Reporter on that. So that, if that's the big headbutting, then that makes perfect sense.
There's another way this could go. You know, the other option, I don't think I heard you mention, Jesse, was they make up, the team wakes up to, I'm sorry, baby, come back. I'm sorry. They can wake up to that email.
Girl, are you telling me that they're going to do the Jason Derulo, like, what'd you say? They're going to do that whole thing? It's like, sorry, baby, I hurt you. By the way, that song's insane. Listen to the lyrics. Anyway, just saying, that song's crazy.
I don't spend a lot of my time listening to Jason Derulo, but
I think everyone should. That song, the lyrics are just like, baby, I know I cheated on you, girl, and I treated you like shit, but we were meant to be together.
I thought Dave Grohl wrote that.
That's news, baby. All right, next week, just a heads up for all you big nerds out there, on the 17th, Final Fantasy 16 releases on PC for everyone who wanted to play that, but also the same day, I'm going to say maybe the biggest challenger ever, Plucky Squire finally releases, and that is going to be just an amazing game. Having played some of it, that game is fire. So you should play that. It is an incredible platformer. That's Devolver. If you're a big nerd for the TV, apparently it is pure comic bookery. On the 18th, Agatha All Along finally comes out, and then on the 19th, The Penguin Show is on HBO. If you like the Batman.
Yeah.
Actually, I really want to see that.
I'm so curious, dude.
Yeah, apparently Colin Farrell was like, I'm never doing Penguin again. I get it. He doesn't look like himself. That man has gone through so much makeup. I can only imagine what that's like. And then for those of you who care and can tolerate the Transformers still, Transformers 1 is in theaters next Friday. So there you go.
Fantastic.
The reviews are good for it. It looks bad, but the reviews are good.
No,
Every
no.
Transformers gets good reviews.
I can't do it anymore.
Do they?
Yeah.
Hold on, I gotta look up Dark of the Moon because there's no way. I refuse to
They
believe this.
phoned in the toy line, let me tell you. They're all old models. They don't even look like the things. They just slap Transformers 1 on it. The toys are not good.
So the
Dark of the Moon has 35% on the tomato meter.
Oh, never mind.
I retain my faith in humanity. Okay, thank God. That movie.
It made $18 billion though. So.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, so does Joker. So monetary success does not equal a movie I want to watch.
Yep.
So
I'm mad at
But that is the
switch
news.
of Beast Wars. What was that?
Fantastic.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, I
that
love
movie's
Beast
bad.
Wars, but not
I
the
do
movie.
love
The movie
Beast
was
Wars.
terrible.
Yeah.
No, they weren't even in there.
Yeah. They had like 3 lines, and then one got rode like a horse at the end, and I was like, "What is this? You do not ride Grimlock. Grimlock no get ridden." Terrible.
Somehow we
Not a
came
fan.
all the way back around to horses. I'm really proud of us.
Nice.
Yeah.
Speaking
Is there
of
a
riding
sexier
horses-
horse than Grimlock? Is there? I don't think there is.
Kyle, Garrett, thank you so much for joining us today. Do you want to tell everybody where they can find you, what you're up to, what's going on in your world?
Yeah, just search for Grinding Gear on YouTube because we can't change what comes after the slash on our channel, and it's actually youtube.com/amovetv, which is terrible branding, AMOVETV. So just search for Grinding Gear. You'll find us. It's two chuckleheads, probably a lot of 14 stuff. We stream on YouTube. We're weird like that, and we also upload videos. And we have a brand new Final Fantasy 14 video out today called "When Dawn Trail Gets Good." Yeah.
Cute.
I believe there's a finally in there too, but don't worry about that part.
Oh, I think you're right. The title we currently went with was "Finally Some Good MSQ." Yeah. But yeah, so go give that a look, and we stream every Monday through Thursday on the Grinding Gear YouTube channel.
Fantastic. Thank you, guys. Jesse, what's going on with you?
Hey, a whole bunch of nothing. Truth be told, I'm just trying to wrap up stuff before I leave for merry old England on the 17th and vanish from the world for a little bit. So, I'll be there till October 1st doing absolutely shenaniganery, making a video game. So Boy, oh boy. Can't wait. Yep.
Well, I'm just going to be continuing to truck along doing my thing. Streaming almost every day. I'll probably play some more Wukong. I still haven't played Tactical Breach Wizards. I gotta do that. So yeah, there's stuff going on over here. games and such and things.
Yeah, Dodger and I played a game yesterday where it was a co-op escape room game.
Yeah,
where,
together in between.
Yes, and
Interesting.
it was very fun, except for the part where we overthought everything, which happened frequently.
Wow.
Frequently, and
And it was ended by baby aggro, which
and a baby showed up
as established, which happened.
Yeah. Good stuff.
But thank you all so much for watching or listening to Geekenders. If you want to see this in the future, if you want to watch the VOD, that's going to be on youtube.com/Jesse Cox. We're also up on all the podcasty things if you want to do this audio only. But take care of yourselves. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you next Friday. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, you know what time it is. It's time for the Geekenders podcast. MegaRan, Jesse and Dodger, what up? Let's go. Yo, it's the weekend. Yeah, it's time to geek out. Let it begin. Go on, stream and shout. It's Jesse and Dodger, so give them a follow and see what the Geekenders are all about. Yo, it's the weekend. Yeah, it's time to geek out. Let it begin. Go on, stream and shout. It's Jesse and Dodger, so give them a follow. #1 geek podcast, without a doubt. Yo, another end of another long week. Got a job and a kid, I know that you all beat. So take a second, grab a drink and vibe while we catch you up in just a matter of time. On gaming, comics, whatever you're doing. If you're nerdy like us, then you know you should tune in. Thank you for sharing our world with us. Now follow, subscribe, and turn this up. Yo, it's the weekend. Yeah, it's time to geek out. Let it begin. Go on, stream and shout. It's Jesse and Dodger, so give them a follow. #1 geek podcast, without a doubt.